Hey there, you're watching Bare Knuckle Binder. Welcome to the channel. It's a little windy, a little rainy right now, so hopefully this audio will pan out and you can hear what I'm saying. A couple weeks ago, had an opportunity to pop up, so I sold my little Farmall B that was on the channel last year, and I put it right into this 1945 Farmall H. Even though it says Super H on the decal there, it's actually an H. And it is so cool. I cannot wait to get into this thing. If you remember a few episodes back when I was in a junkyard and I found a 9-speed in a Farmall H, I ended up pulling that. I ended up pulling a motor. I'll get into that here in a minute. But let's just take a look at this thing. So like I said, this is a 1945 Farmall H, from what I can tell from casting codes and serial numbers. And let's just start out with the cool stuff. First off, somebody did a wild two-tone paint job on this thing at some point, and oddly enough, I love it. Definitely gonna stay a patina machine. It's got all the original old decals, and they're the old water slide decals, so if this thing was repainted, it was repainted at a dealership. It's got gasoline decal there that's so cool to see, and it has the fuel gauge gas cap. I would put a pre-cleaner on this thing, but they also two-toned the air cleaner cover. It has the Balin power steering, and the pump is right there. It's got the Delco Remy upright distributor, small oil filter. It was a distillate tractor. Now this is something about the tractor that's got to get addressed. It was originally a distillate tractor, which is something that I've talked about before when I was working on my 51M. A distillate tractor, distillate fuel is no longer made. It was discontinued in 1956, if I'm remembering correctly. Distillate was a cheaper, less volatile fuel than gasoline. It's similar to kerosene. Kerosene is actually a distillate fuel, but the distillate that I'm referring to is actually called tractor fuel back in the day. And it worked well through the 30s and 40s, but getting into the 50s, when everyone was chasing more horsepower, gasoline was the answer to that. And by the 60s, it was turbo diesel. How you started a distillate Farmall was that you started it on gasoline, you warmed it up so that the distillate fuel would vaporize properly, and then you switched it over just at the fuel bowl. It's called an all fuel bowl if you're looking at replacements or whatever. But they came with a starting tank, which is a 1-gallon tank. Goes right here, that's what this hole's for. And I like to have those tanks on my tractors, even though they're gas tractors now. I like to have that tank for a reserve tank because I have run out of gas with my tractors before, and sometimes it's a long walk home. So this tractor though cannot have one of those tanks because the Balin hydraulic tank is in the way. So that's what's using up the space for the starter tank, and I'm not mad about it. The power steering on these tractors, especially the aftermarket add-ons, did not use the hydraulic fluid from the tractor's actual system, even though you could plumb them if you wanted to like that, but this one did not. Another obvious cool thing is the Schwartz wide front end. Where I'm from in Wisconsin, wide fronts are definitely nice to have to save your life because you can roll a tractor pretty easily in the driftless area of Wisconsin. However, most of them didn't have that, so I'm actually more used to a narrow front tractor. Other than my family's Oliver 550 that has been our family for generations, this is the first wide front tractor I've owned, the very first wide front Farmall. Currently, this tractor is stuck. She's stuck real good. In fact, the head is off. The carb is off. The guy I bought it from up in Northeast Texas, he had the head off and he was trying to get this thing unstuck, but as of yet had no luck. But I'll get to that in a minute. Original 6-volt system. I'm probably gonna change this thing over to 12 just because I got rid of the B. So this is gonna be the chore horse now around the property with the disabled trucks. So I need this thing to pull trucks around and brush hog cactus and stuff. She's got the wheel weights. Back tires are quite nice. Front tires are brand new. Got this abomination of an aftermarket seat. That is going away. I have a seat that I took off my 41 Farmall M And the seat, I'm not gonna feel bad about it at all. And I got this box, this homemade rustic box full of rat poop and various farm items. So in a couple episodes back when I was in the junkyard, I grabbed a Heisler light bar toolbox that hangs from the steering column and bolts to the light bar. That's for a Farmall, and it won't work on this, and the balin's in the way anyway. But I mention it because in that box was a ton of old farm relics, and I did not open it and go through it on camera, so I will go through this poopy box of bolts, and looks like maybe some wrenches and pins in there. Who knows what treasures we'll find. I have a pretty good idea what it's gonna be, but we'll go through it anyway. We've got the wartime cast shift knob. One of these will be for an M&W 9-speed lever. The tractor's not equipped currently, but the one I found in the junkyard recently, I went back with my buddies and grabbed it. Come on around. There's 2 big cotter pins in the coupler.
We are the transmission jack.
Yeah. Look. That's not a good look for YouTube. Guess what we saw? Yeah, it looks like it.
Looks like it from here. Cool.
That guy's loose. Can you pull it out the front there? Oh. And as a side note, the day that we went to go get that 9-speed, there's 2 H's that were sitting there. I brought a battery and some gas just to see, and we got them to fire off. I'd already bought this tractor at that point, and so I knew the motor was stuck. I knew that the motor was distillate. Why that matters is a distillate head is much lower compression. And so you can get more horsepower out of a gas head. And one of those tractor motors was a distillate motor, and one of those motors was a gas motor. And we got them both to fire off and run for a few seconds. Hey.
Okay.
Let me give her another snort. Ready?
Yep.
So I went back the following week and I grabbed the gas motor. All right, up here in the junkyard, don't have much time to film, so I'm just gonna give you a quick intro of what's going on. This H right here, Monday, Connor and Chris and I tore the 9-speed out of that one. When we were here, we checked this one. It has a gasoline engine. It's got the X suffix on the serial number, gas head, gas carb, manifold, all that. And the motor's loose. And so we put some gas and a battery on it and we got it to fire. So I know the motor is at least runnable. It's a running motor. It has compression, and obviously I don't know anything about the condition further than that, but the motor on my H in Texas is stuck, very stuck, and it is a distillate motor, so it's a lower compression. So this would automatically get me more horsepower, and it's a running motor. So actually both of them are running, but this other one back here that we got the 9-speed out of is also a distillate. So I'd kind of still be looking for a gas head or even an LP head if I could find one. So anyway, I'm going to be tearing down this motor. I got the van and trailer here. I go back to Texas in 2 days. In 2 days, I will be on my way, halfway home to Texas. So I'm in a hurry, and I'm in the junkyard, and it's Saturday, so they close at noon today. So anyway, this is the guy, and I think I've made some stands that I brought along for the motor. And once I get it to a point that I can pull the motor, then I'm gonna go down to the front and to get a loader and lift the motor up and all that. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of stuff to get done in a very short time. Also, this thing is sitting on a hill, so the safety will be interesting as well. All right. It took me about 2 hours to pull the thing by myself. Came back with me on the trailer, and it's going in this thing. I'm not really sure the internal condition of that motor. It feels like it's got pretty low compression. So been there, done that, but it'll be better than a stuck motor that doesn't run. And if it is just really tired, I can probably get by putting some rings in it. If it's bad and knocks and all that stuff, the tractor will still drag itself around for the time being. And I can, you know, force the pistons out of this one and get this one all rebuilt and put the gas head on it. Bob's your uncle. This tractor should be running by the end of, well, I should say, I'll take this moment to say, in case you've missed my other recent videos, if you want to meet me and the Holden brothers out of Boerne, Texas, we will be at the IH Sierra Fall Rally in Grass Valley, California, October 11th to the 13th. Super cool meetup for International Harvester fans. You're going to meet some of the coolest people. You'll see the coolest trucks. I will be driving my 1952 L122 Coleman conversion 4x4. It's awesome. You definitely want to see it in person. If you want to learn more about that truck, I'll put a playlist in the video description. And if you want to know more about the IH Sierra Fall Rally, I'll put the link to the registration and info page also in the video description. And of course, you're going to want to check out the Holden brothers because they're badass friends of mine and they build the coolest stuff. They actually put a Cummins swap in my van. So it's the gnarliest van now. So I have to mention it because A, I'm really excited about it. B, I'm making videos as we speak about me getting this truck ready to go out there and come back. It's going to be an epic road trip. Definitely stay tuned to that because we're probably going to have some trail rides and meetups on the way back to Texas because yes, we're driving old international trucks back from Grass Valley, California, all the way to Texas. So, and C, I mention it because I think that if I really bust my hump, I can have this tractor running by the time I leave for that trip. It's gonna be a lot of work. It's really hot in Texas right now, except for right now because this rain cooled it down and that's awesome. Oh, I'm even wearing a Holden Brothers hoodie right now. Represent. All right, so back to this tractor. I have a motor for it that's good enough to get it to move around at least on its own. And once we get it in the tractor and have the thing dragging it around by its own stumps, then we'll know the condition of the motor. Hopefully we got good oil pressure, but I mean, it's a junkyard motor. Both those tractors that were sitting there in the junkyard that had clearly come from the same farm together had clearly been taken care of. It's just a matter of how long they were sitting and how tired they got before the farmer stopped farming or whatever, how that story ended. So this tractor needs a motor, got a motor, here we go. I'm awful impressed with the fact that this thing has the PTO shield in place. That's nice. This thing has a really wild PTO handle. Basically, that tells me I have a free rein to put my M&W aftermarket PTO lever on this thing, which we pulled in the junkyard a few episodes back in the episode I keep referencing, which I'm sure is getting annoying. And if you know about Farmalls, you probably have already seen this M&W hand clutch. Look at this beautiful thing here. Obviously the tractor doesn't run, so I do not know the condition of this thing. I am praying that this thing works, functions properly, and doesn't slip. It's pretty cool. That boot is still somewhat there. I'm hoping I can get enough of a pattern to sew another one, but I'm really stoked about that. Really stoked it still has the original battery box. And I was actually taking a look at it once I got out here, and because of the rain and the current light, it looks like they actually two-toned the rims. So this thing is, this thing's really cool. What a beautiful machine. Got the wartime stamped steel logo versus the aluminum one. And this one seems to be in really great shape. I mean, it's not perfect. I've never seen a perfect one, but really nice shape. It's got the original winged radiator cap for the pressurized radiator. Looks like there might be some paint on that even. Like they two-tone the radiator cap. Man, it looks like he pinstriped it. Lord almighty, what a machine. Man, if I ever restore this thing, I'm gonna have to two-tone it. I mean, it's like it's part of its heritage now. So I just noticed this. This is, what the heck happened there, huh? Another thing it's got is the two-way hydraulic Christmas tree valve. I don't see those on H's as much as I see them on M's, but it's cool that it's got it, and it's cool that it's got the original lever. Those are a little hard to find because, I don't know, that, at least in my experience, because I don't have one on my 51M, even though I have the Christmas tree valve. And a normal hydraulic rod, like the one that's right there that runs the lift-all pump, if you put that one on the Christmas tree valve, it hits your knee all the time. It's really annoying. What's it missing? Obviously a decent seat. That's gotta go. It'd be really nice if I had some fenders, because I know my nephews are gonna wanna ride on this thing. It's got a friction throttle. It's not an M&W, but it seems like it's got some friction. Steering wheel seems nice. I don't know what the balance is supposed to feel like. I've got a Charlene on my 41M that doesn't have that much play in it, but obviously I gotta get into this thing and check it out. It's busted light lens. It doesn't have a rear light. I have those things. Yeah, it's just super cool. Super cool tractor. It needs an original ignition switch because this drawbar is bent upward, which is really, I don't know, it's weird. I have a spare drawbar for it, but this one is actually, other than it being bent, it seems to be all original. Most of them you find are all welded up and wonky looking. But I wonder if I can get my buddy Isaac to straighten this out. He'd probably do that in his press or something. Maybe I can build this up with weld, and who knows, we'll see. I've actually got an original roller for one of these drawbars in almost perfect condition, so that'll go on here. What else to talk about with this thing? I'm just really excited. I've never had an H. I've just had M's and that little B. And I had a lot of experience when I was younger driving a C around. So I'm excited to make this. I mean, this tractor just screams bare knuckle binder to me. It's just perfectly, beautifully ugly. And it's got all the cool period upgrades, and it's still rough. It's not a showpiece at all. This is the kind of tractor I'd pretty much walk past almost any perfectly restored tractor to take a closer look at. So just a real quick video to introduce this machine. Really excited to get started on it. Apparently the radiator looks really clean. Gas tank looks pretty clean. I looked in there, there's a little bit of rust, but I've got a bunch of gas tanks I need to treat, so I might as well get that one done. I know where to find a radiator if I need one. Obviously I have a motor, I have a seat, I've got a drawbar and roller if I need it, got a rear light. What else? I have obviously a motor. I have a 9-speed M&W 9-speed transmission for an H. And I'm away home from Texas knowing that I have this H. I was browsing Marketplace for a Super H or 300 or 350 live hydraulic pump. And I found a guy in Iowa who had not only the pump, but he had the stronger camshaft gear. He had the timing cover and timing backing plate that I need to convert this thing. The only thing he didn't have is the hydraulic manifold block. So that's cool. That's also going on this thing. I think I'm gonna wait until I have the new motor in this thing and see how it does, because if I'm gonna go through the whole trouble of changing out the gear on the camshaft and the whole front end of the motor, obviously it'll be easier with the whole motor apart, but it's really not that much work to take apart the front of one of these tractors. So I'd rather do it to the motor that I know is going to stay in it for a while. So anyway, here it is. Can't wait to get torn into this thing. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. That really helps me out, and I will see you in the next video.